Today I want to debunk one of the Christian apologetics myths that I've learned as I've lived life, and I even learned how to use this particular argument in defense of the Christian faith when I was in Bible college years ago. And over time, over life, I've learned this is actually untrue. You see, a lot of Christians, Christian apologists especially, they have these handfuls of arguments that they're sort of handed and then given explanations for, and they don't always resolve. And one of those arguments is about the truth claims of Jesus and how the disciples would not have died horrible, brutal deaths for something they knew to be false. Now, as to whether or not these people actually suffered those brutal deaths, historically speaking, as far as I know, is historically questionable. However, my point today is the claim that people don't die for something they know to be false. However, people do die all the time for things they believe to be true that just aren't so. So you can believe something's true and die for it, and it can still ultimately not end up being true. And here's my proof. When I was serving in the Army back in Afghanistan in 2006, I was injured by a suicide bomber. If you know anything about my story, you've heard this story. He blew up 3 feet away from me. He killed himself. He was the only one to die that day, but I was horribly injured. I spent a year and 2 months in the hospital at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas. And here's the thing. That guy died for what he believed to be true, but it wasn't. If you're a Christian, you believe that. If you're Muslim, you'll debate me on that. But that's the point. You can't say that people won't die for something that they believe or know to be false. But the thing is, this suicide bomber, he died for something he believed to be true. But again, if you're a Christian, you can't agree that that's true because he was a Muslim. He was of a different religion. So the same goes for the disciples or anybody throughout history who's died for their faith. Again, the claim is that people, the disciples in this case, wouldn't die for something they know to be false. However, people do die for things they believe to be true, even if they are not. That's why this channel is called The Right to Think, because you need to think, and you have the right to think and question everything.